7 for noon, a group of people set off. It's a space system multiplication ability. The biggest benefit is where you go. You don't have to consider what to bring. Whatever it is, just take it all. Careful inspection of weapons. Equipped on person. Is the combat uniform intact? Is the dagger in the dominant position? Guns are stored in space. You also have to open the safety net. Guarantee can take out at any time for sale. After everything is prepared. 6 people a cat left the shelter. Goodbye to Yang and others. Then go to the subway station from Sun Temple. Sun Temple is just over 30 kilometers from the shelter. It's less than an hour's drive. And people arrive. Detect out car of Celestial and other forces have been waiting here very early. Even though the epidemic has told me over and over again, don't bring too many people. But look at the number of cars. Each house carries no less than 10 people. They're all elite warriors. It is fully equipped. He stepped out of the car from a distance. The sky and some people have seen it. Rush to say hello. Zhang Yi, are you here? Laughing at everyone. According to the number of your people. If every power sends a few people, there must be thousands of people. Pepper Pink practiced sighing. Honestly, we're a little scared now. Bring a little more people, it is more secure. I can understand the anxiety of red wine. Tian Hai has not stopped fighting. Now to a strange place. I'm about to meet so many great and small forces. It's hard to be sure without a little air. The translation says, be careful too. Zhang Yi used his space energy, put the sleigh in. So the Red Cross was the first to move forward. Zhang Yi, maybe you can help us get the car in. If it is not good to stay here, it will be broken for a long time. This statement also shows her confidence. For Trong Dui, even though SAO is their sleigh, it's also an important strategic resource. Chen Quan also hurriedly said, that's right, Zhang Yi. Your ability is so convenient. Please help us once. Smiling and nodding. If you trust me, then I'll help you with this little thing. Everyone shouted, of course I believe. Trong Yi went to the front and waved a simple one. Some of the sleds that they brought, they were transported by him into the space of power. It's red and everyone's watching this. In eyes full of jealousy. The space system's power is really useful. People come to the temple. It was soon covered in heavy snow. From fat to front boots, snow on the ground. He reached out his arms to the ground. Blowing capacity snow launched. Immediately, the snow was thick on the ground as if blown by a tornado. From a circular center blowing out around. Not long after, entrance to the subway GA, 10 meters below the ground. King Dai Sheng opened the light. The backlights are shining like day, under the clear white light. Everybody go inside. As predicted, this subway GA yard is different from other places. When you touch your hand, can feel the wall thicker. The material used is also higher grade concrete. This material can withstand strong VA beating. Even though SAO is also a military railway, construction level is definitely different from civil. Everybody on the way to the gabble. It's cold and dry underneath, dark as ink. It's hard to make people believe that there's still a train going by. People don't dare step up to the rendezvous point, because it's an hour from 14 to 30. Everyone was chatting for a while. Exchange with each other how to look at the general area of Jiangnam. Angels and some people just talk casually. They don't know anything about the Jiangnan area. But who expected? Zhang Yi. I really hear it from my mouth. Some useful information. Red Pepper. Her father was a senior officer in the military. Even though the end of the world has come, previous titles and powers, it's all been turned upside down, but the resources and relationships are still there. As the original leader of the Tai Sen base was Tran Hai Nian, and the chief commander of the Jiangnan area was Zhou, there is an old relationship. Uncle Hong also has friends in the snowstorm. Red training moves forward. Tell the translation chapter some information that I know about the summons of the Jiangnan Great Region. This time, I have a friend. He's a captain in the Blizzard Defense City. I recently asked him for information about the situation. He knows some information. This time, the chief summon large and small forces in the whole of Jiangnan is actually arranging for things to come. One is that after half a year, the end of the world happened. Basic regions have formed a number of large-scale forces. No more chaos like before. The headquarters wants to unify these forces. 2 is to unite forces. It's also to prevent outside intrusion, or mutant organisms that cause disorders. He looked at her and asked curiously, if you say mutant creatures make a mess, we can understand. But SAO is an outside intrusion. Now look all over the world. There are other countries. I'm not struggling to live in an ice age. It is difficult for them to protect themselves, but there is enough power to invade us, SAO. When 2 people are talking, others also put up their ears. Listen carefully. Pepper Pink practiced deep laughter. Large-scale wars. It certainly won't explode. But small conflicts in the border area are thought to. It never ends. That's the crux of the problem. It is located in the geographical location of the United States. As everyone knows, there are too many small and big countries. It's all along our borders. Moreover, our national territory is very large. Although the high-level armed forces are still strong, but the military is not the same. So we're very tired. When you're dealing with a lot of little harassment, to be around. Red Pepper practice continue. Of course, this situation is not unique to the United States. The whole world has this situation. Even some small countries have perished. The swelling sounds a little headache. He rubbed his temples and said, there's too many snakes. Animals really can't kill them all. But the national ambassador, it's decided by a group of meat eaters. We don't need to worry for the time being. There's senior people in the neighborhood making decisions. They have more experience than us in dealing with these issues. The most, we're just playing mercenaries. Try to do your best, just to contribute to it. Trong Yi's principle of life is that when poverty is, just worry about yourself. First, he has to make sure he's safe, and the people around. But in terms of national significance, if you need him to act, then he will definitely not relinquish. Old soldier, next view, Kwong said loudly. If there's really an AI that's going to invade our territory, I will be the first to go to war. To chase them away pathetically. I also agree that this is natural. But if it's what you say, you'll also feel much more secure in my heart. At least we know the purpose of this meeting. I won't be suspicious all day. Even though everyone else is silent. But many people's eyes became determined. They can kill each other for resources. But that's in the water. If one day there's actually an AI that dares to invade, they will fight to the end. They're used to life and death. Even if you have to die, they also hope that their death will be worth it. As soon as everyone is talking, the flower is suddenly sitting up straight. eyes as wide as copper bells, staring at the end of the tunnel. The subway screeched a few meows. Mine. It implies that there is movement ahead. He hurriedly looked at the end of the tunnel. Subway. The darkness suddenly appeared a faint light. There's a fast train rumbling into everyone's ears. The low voices here. It's a dedicated military train. It's like a dragon galloping underground. Quickly run to the pier in front of everyone. Its speed is very fast. The locomotive is like a high-speed train, running underground. After the subway stops, the subway doors open. But only open one wing. A conductor in uniform. Tall and straight, smiling in front of everyone. When Zhang Yi saw the staff miss the ticket, he felt a chill running down his back. Because it's a woman who's 9 feet tall. Skin as white as snow. The smile on her face, though radiant. But it's frightfully cold. 6, of course, next to the whisper, says this is a robot. The epidemic suddenly woke up. I don't blame you for feeling so horrible. The conductor bowed to greet everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, please board the zoo number 13. When she finished, she went aside. Give way to everyone. Calm your face and go ahead. After boarding the ship, everyone discovered this place is really different from a regular subway. Inside from the seat to the floor. Cabinet 7 is completely different from the civil subway. At the end of the subway, the boss's son planted some blue iron barrels, giant tree leaves. The top emits a faint red light. I don't know what it's for. I am not a person who likes to talk a lot. Find a place in the middle and sit down. 6 and 6 sat down in a hurry. Next to him. This train is quite spacious. In other words, everyone has a seat. But no one dared to sit next to the translator. And very quickly, the door opened again. The smiling conductor stood by the train door. Face with a characteristic smile. Look straight ahead. Very quickly after that, the train again turned into a dark dragon, roaring forward. No stop-touch notification. There's no route chart. Zhu Kai Ni and 6 revelation, initially tense face. Then it's really boring. Fall asleep on your shoulder. But Zhang Yi didn't sleep. I was thinking about going to snow. In legend, he's not sleepy at all. He thought silently. I don't know how long it takes to get there. After moving in the dark, about half an hour, the train suddenly stopped in the middle of the road. The train door is not open. From the window and his friends, I can still see the cold lights outside. Hold on to the window and look out. They saw a group of people rushing into another court. The clothes they wear, completely different compared to Zhang Yi and others. But it seems it's also a special kind of outfit, has superior cold resistance. Because the light of the subway is quite dark, so they couldn't see their faces clearly. Just feel in the dark. The gas is in the air. Clearly these are the dominant forces. The end of another city. They are also savages. Rise from the sea of blood. The translation can't help but feel. Of course this time, who came to the snow? They are also bad characters. When you hear the translation say that, I have been training with others to watch. He has very strange eyes. The brutal ones. You're talking about them. If they are sadistic, you are the SA. Although the campaign has repeatedly reminded them, don't reveal any information about him with the outside world, especially about his power. But no AI in Tianjin doesn't know. Previously, I didn't stand at the boundaries of FC4. Was killed by Zhang. The fluid has been absorbed. The original of the original is not. How great is the power now? It's really unimaginable. He always thought he was just a normal person, and constantly remind myself of that. Only then will he not become arrogant and complacent. Make the same mistake as never before. Folded arms in front of chest. Silently observe everything outside. The train started moving again. This has gone on 9 more times. The epidemic doesn't know I was the second passenger on board. It is impossible to assess that. Jiangnam area, after all, how many cities exist? Mutant forces on a large scale. After a long journey, the train finally stopped at a lit GA yard. As the train enters the GA, the police and others know that. Definitely went to Kim Mausoleum. Because right now, only the snow city of Kim Lang, they are able to maintain normal functioning of traffic. Subway. There are lights. Translation program looking at satellite phones. Show time is more than 6 p.m. It took them over 3 hours. Plus more, you have to go around other cities. It can be considered quite reasonable. Suddenly, the robot waiter turned his neck. Look at the epidemic and others. She smiled softly and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the last snowman has arrived. Please unpack your luggage and personal belongings on board." May. It's even been translated into English. Slowly get up and tell everyone to go. Zhu Kai Ni and 6 Revelation are even more careful. Don't take half a step. Everyone else's eyes were a little tense. They unconsciously stand up, then wait for the leader to come out. Step out of the subway. Outside, the doors of more than 10 cars were open. From the inside out, a group of fighters. Soldiers in combat uniforms, armed to the teeth. Each of us is like the warriors in ancient armor. Full body wrapped in military uniform, heavy-duty combat. This person relies on the kier. Shoulder to shoulder looking at each other with cold and watchful eyes. In this group of people, there's no shortage of people who dress very special, even just wearing fragile clothes. There are even giants about 5 meters tall. Get your back out. All kinds of different personalities. Make the entire subway GA yard. It's kind of like a national fair. However, there are 3 main characters. That's the red message. Ngok Tuan Keen Min salary ceiling. The AI's face also exuded gas billowing. Chu's small face. Revelation and 6 pale revelation. They're a little unbearable. The air filled this place. I thought they were so cruel. It's like a storm of blood coming out. These warriors, it's not intentional to use lethal force to intimidate others. Because the gas itself is the breath. Naturally appear after killing many. Not excluding some people. To show their power in the process. The conference deliberately showed the atmosphere. Zhang Yi quietly slowed down not to let himself take the lead. Because leaders are so easily targeted. He's also quietly observing the mutants nearby. It's not just translation. The mutants come here. Most people choose to do the same. They're very wary of strong people in the surrounding cities. In the end times, there's no real friend or enemy. Everyone can work together for the common good at any time, but it could also start a war for competing for resources. The power of most cities has stabilized. If there is a dispute, it could only be a war between cities. These mutants are extravagant. I want everyone to know my power. Some people live closed, covered in a black cloak. Even the face can't see. Some people are indifferent, calmly observe everyone. Let others judge you. The storm suddenly felt. There are some unkind eyes, looking at me from the side. Unconsciously, he looked that way. Only the teams in the car next to them. They don't shy away and stare at it. It's not just translation. The others, they also gradually discovered the unwillingness of this group of people. Min Duck looked at Trong Duck with unfeeling eyes. It's even somewhat challenging. Pepper Pink practice frown. Translation reminder. It's the people of Dai Z City. Have you seen that skinhead? His name is Min. He also holds a fleet of ships. Before, there's been friction with us at sea. Zhang Yi muttered. Dai Zak Sao City. I'm very familiar with this city. Because it's in the southwest of Tianhai City. Right next to the sky. Before, he often comes to this city to visit. I can feel their unsympathetic eyes. Trong Yi could not help but ask for Red Training Pepper. They came to find you. Red Pepper said. In the past, we and Min had some conflicts. But now, they're certainly not simple. It's hostile to our base. As I said before, a lot of people think the power of our Tianjin city is weak. They want to find us. Don't need him to talk. The plague has felt it. There's a lot of eyes looking around. On their side. The epidemic said casually, let's just ignore them first. Let's finish this and talk later. This is a snowstorm. No one dares to act thoughtlessly here. Situation Kai. If these people really don't know how to live and die, the pups are not afraid of them either. That's what Trong Yi said. Everyone in your heart is more secure. Stability of Tianhai City. It's totally up to Zhang's team. On the side of the mutant power of the great Z City. To see Zhang Yi and others, there's no reaction. I think this is a sign of cowardice. I laughed with a cold voice watching. The Tianhai City has really been destroyed. They used to be arrogant. I heard Wei Dai Hai is dead. A small still light ceiling. It's enough to fend off an army. Before, when the Tianhai City was strong. Every force is as strong as a tiger, as a wolf. To see Min at sea, not a few times VA touched the million-weapon base. Always get out of the way. Now, the power of Tianhai City has waned. He was able to regain his face. Even, you can also consider going to the Mediterranean city, to plunder the resources there. No SA respect Min. They laughed and said look at their army. Some people have come. Looks like the rumors are true. A vast Tianhai city. Used to be very prosperous, but now people are sparse. It's a waste. This woman, he was the leader of another power in the city. Try pink message. Except for the two of them. There is a leader of another power. The jade ceiling is also here. His whole body was covered. She's wrapped in a gray scarf. He looked at Zhangji and the others. My eyes are a little dark, but didn't say a word. Tran Tuong Ngok muttered, has such resources of the Tianhai city. It can be directly removed. It's not hard to see that. He also means to the people in the Tianhai city. Not just them, there's also a number of other organizations in neighboring cities. Tianhai City. I'm also looking at Zhangji and others. By looking at the prey. Now, even though they have all kinds of thoughts for Zhang Yi and others. But in the end, this is snow. They didn't forget the purpose of coming here. I don't dare to mess up here. It's hard to say after leaving the blizzard. Of course, Zoe understands their thoughts. He smiled and thought stomach. I'm really looking at the Mediterranean city. We don't have a leader. Interesting. When everyone gets off their own train. Suddenly, there were footsteps in front of me. Everyone heard the sound of looking back. I just saw a group of full-bodied soldiers in combat gear. Handheld rifle. Their costumes are strange. It's pure black. It's as if the light has been absorbed. I saw their clothes for the first time. Frowned. Because of the combat suits. It's a little bit like an investigative team combat uniform. Armed soldiers. They didn't do anything, they just stood there. The air they show has made the city's 12 mutant powers. Right in front of you. The snowstorm guards and so on. Elite among the elites of the Jiang area. Male special forces. In the special forces. They are real soldiers. In the end times, you can also think of them as real killing machines. Even if the entire defense of the blizzard. That's 300,000 people. The number of elites. There are only 5,000, but they're not like the other regular security forces. They're just elite people. Only appear to deal with mutant organisms. People like Wu or Bakla, Chen, Than, they're all fake fighters trained by this army. The rest of the soldiers. I can only count on my fingers, but it's enough to make the most of it. 12 cities of Jiangnan area, and thousands of fake powers there. Although they're also the ones who've been through the fire, but still far behind, compared to killing machines like this. In the crowd, there's a beautiful woman. Has hair tied tall and lips flaming red. He's staring at the soldiers. Not from licking lips, eyes full of desire. They really want to taste their taste. A veteran with a deadly face. On the back of a black box. The squinted eyes seem to be intent on comparison. He thought silently. There's something quintessential in quintessential. Special forces in the special forces. It looks nothing more than this. Right now, from behind the soldiers. A tall figure coming out slowly. A pair of long black boots stomped on the floor. It makes noise, make the whole chapter frown. That sounds like a threat. And not very polite. It's a middle-aged skinny man. Wearing a uniform on the shoulder is a very prominent rank. Outside the uniform, it's a baggy robe. Almost half of the face is hidden in the collar. You can only see the nose. And a pair of eyes as small as a falcon's. But when those eyes flash through everyone there, everyone feels it. It's like having a knife cut through you. Cold back. This thought is too strong. Immediately appeared in the head of the campaign. Just one look at the danger. This is extremely rare for him right now. Only in the face of the armed frontier, and not at all. I've just been promoted to a hairdresser. That's how Zhang Yi felt. In the head of the epidemic, he said what the military had told him. Jiangnam area of Dragon Pants Gathering. There are 6 investigation captains like him. The appearance of the person in front of you, it's obviously the captain of the Yen Van army. Force is probably no less than the military frontier. Even more powerful than the military frontier. The police immediately warned themselves. There's a lot of players here who need to be humble. He doesn't show any emotion. Quietly retreated behind the crowd. The translation is like that. The less others need to talk. There are even some people who deliberately flaunt the atmosphere. Show your aggression. But just take a look at the general. It was sweating. And even limp feet. I almost fell to the ground. The new Kier general slowly opened his mouth. His deep voice. It's like coming out of a gun barrel. Dear people, welcome to the city Snowbug. I am the Minister, Combat Department of the Jiangnan area, Fierce Babes. Come to welcome you on behalf of the Jiangnam area. Then he slowly raised a finger. Here first, I will introduce you about the rules of the blizzard. Remember that these rules are very important to you, because in the blizzard, the rules are absolute. Any AI violator, they all face severe punishment. This is your first time here. Maybe you're used to being free on the outside. But here, restrain your ego. The words of the Lord are strong. I don't respect any AI. From the beginning, wanted to impose a way for everyone. But Zhang Yi understood that this is just a warning. Let people from other places come. I dare not live in the snow. In half a year's end, they were arrogant. Arrogance within the scope of one's own power. This process is definitely accompanied by all kinds of blood. Violence. There's even all kinds of human rights violations. If the Jiangnan region does not crack down on them strongly, then among these people, there will be dissidents disrupting the security of the Snow City. She continues to talk tonight. We'll arrange a resting place for everyone. Tomorrow, the president will personally call the conference. Then everyone has to be on time. Finally, he insisted in an extremely stern tone. Remember, 1,000 times don't mess around here. Restrain yourself from your bad habits. From the outside. Finished talking. They don't care about people's reactions. Turning people away from the subway GA yard. To be honest, he had 7 hopes. Because if someone had stood out to provoke him earlier, he could have just taken out that guy. To intimidate others. But did not expect. People from these 12 cities are very restrained. He thought it was fine. If they obey, there will be less trouble. After the fierce left, someone came immediately, smiling, just let everyone go to rest. Guide Chou Trong Yi and others. She's a waitress, wearing white anvil uniform. She bent over and said, "Follow me." For a few days in a blizzard, I will be responsible for welcoming everyone. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me. I'll send you the rules of the blizzard. To people's communication devices. Everyone read carefully. The snowstorm into a militarized management regime. There's a lot of rules. Be careful to avoid violating these rules. Zhang Yi nodded hard. Followed by the waitress. Leave the subway station. Until you get out, people are just witnessed a panoramic view of the blizzard. This city is located east of Kim Mausoleum. It's a city in another city. That's about 1/5 of the entire city. Diamond Wheel. The whole city, surrounded by thick walls. Row width 10 meters. And inside, the city's architecture is no different compared to other places. It's just that you can see patrolmen everywhere on the street. In their hands, they held guns and looked alert, staring at strangers. New arrival. The body can feel the air. City management by military regime. Out of the subway, the temperature dropped suddenly. Everyone wears a uniform, so they're not afraid of the cold. Forces from 12 cities. They are guided by staff. Go to your assigned area. Everyone's eyes were filled with curiosity. She asked the staff girl, "What are the ordinary people doing here? We don't see the shadow of AI." The smiling clerk explained to the translation. "They're all working." She led the way forward and said, "In the snowstorm, people are assigned to positions. Different work, depending on your ability. This city wants to work. Someone has to work 24 hours a day. So most of the normal people working 14 hours or more per day. In other words, outside of rest and eating, the rest of the time should be for work. Of course, this work mode only applies to junior staff. For those rare talents, to do specific jobs, they can enjoy a decent standard of living. The more you excel in ability, the higher the living conditions will be. But most people, they're just normal employees. They spend almost all of their time working. When I finished listening, my eyes flashed. So, the elderly and children are unable to work. What will they be like? 6. Then Chen came in. Must have been treated special. Whatever the state of the elderly and children. Different from young people. The smile on the corner of her lips ring a little dreary. It's not like that. Whether it's old people or children, unless the family, they can contribute enough to make up for their missing piece. If not, they're not qualified to live in a snowstorm. 6. What an amazing thing. That's too cruel. The translation says, it's just a simple law of survival in the end times, and there's no need to overdo it. Although General Department of Jiangnam has a lot of materials, but in the end times, they also have to control the number of people. Because they can only take care of one part of the population. Sure, they've got to make room for more valuable people. It makes sense. 6. Sighing, I understand this doctrine. But not here. Still applies the social institutions of civilization. Human Sao. I thought, this place will not be the same as the city of heaven. At least take good care of the kids. The face of Zhu Fab knee and brows. They all seem helpless. At least they think they should protect the children. Because children are the future. If you kick them out of the blizzard, just because kids can't create enough labor value, what to do later? The officer responded to this. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. Just the couple. The ability to create more value. Just have a few more kids. In a snowstorm, we have a fertility rate. At the time of need, giving birth is also a task to be completed in the end times. Chu Kai Ni opened his mouth. It's impossible to imagine. Do this mode again here. Only the translation is not strange. It's not surprising at all.